I'm hitting. Okay. You're right.
Here's my friend Helene.
Yes, Helene,
I got off my previous Zoom 2 minutes ago.
you did what, Helene?
I had my 2-hour Zoom Sage
Oh.
class and got off 2 minutes ago.
Mhm.
That's loyalty.
Hi, Jackie.
Hi.
Hi, dear.
Well, Jackie, you're looking good.
For being locked up for several weeks. Nice to see you.
Well, we don't want to lock you up forever.
I don't want to be locked up forever. Thank you.
Welcome,
We
Bob.
only-
Hello.
How are you?
Hello.
There's Helene. There's Helene. Hi.
And Bob's going to make this into a quiz show if you're not careful.
All right. Hands on buzzers. Ready?
Behind what door? Huh?
The question is, where are you right now? That background, it's beautiful. I want to
know,
go
but
there.
You want to win a brand new car?
We can't see. Oh,
Great, great.
We're waiting. It's just 4 o'clock. Okay.
So let's see a show of hands of who's avoided COVID so far.
Yay. Yes, yes, yes.
Okay,
Great, we're doing well.
wait a minute. Gail and Murray, you didn't avoid it.
Sorry.
Yeah,
well,
I know.
that isn't
Hello?
We
avoided this version.
Oh,
This version. Okay. Well, I guess we have to do versions. We'll take
too
account.
much.
Judy, are you going to be okay moderating this today?
So far, if you sleep me snoring or sleeping, then you'll know not.
What's going on, Judy?
You know, when your partner in crime who lives in the same, 1,000 square feet
Uh-huh.
gets it,
No.
your chances are, I will know tomorrow. Okay, so I didn't raise my hand because I don't know.
Well, we'll hope you're okay.
How's
That
Marty
you're not-
doing?
How's Marty?
Marty
He's doing great.
Any symptoms
For Marty or for me?
for Marty?
Marty still has the cough. He really showed a lot of the symptoms, but he has no taste anyway, nor any smell. So who knows? Me, the coffee doesn't taste like coffee. I guess I have some of the classics, and I'm telling you, it is so hot in here, and it's not hot in here. But well, anybody, one.
Oh, dear.
All right, well, if you want, why don't we all pitch in and help make this program go? So I note that it's a little after 4, and let's take some turns plugging our upcoming programs before we start this one off, give the people who are joining us a little bit more time to join. So let's see, is Gloria on screen? Not yet. Anyone here from the movie club who would like to tell us about that meeting? Judy?
Okay, so we're watching the movies Passing and Tender Bar. And what are we meeting? It's an evening. It's 7 o'clock to discuss it.
This
Just don't remember
Monday.
the date. Is it the 24th?
Yeah.
Okay.
So sounds like a couple of interesting movies if you get a chance to watch them. One's available on Amazon Prime and the other one on Netflix. If you get to see either of them and would like to talk about them, please join the movie club gathering at 7 on Monday. the Zoom has been in the Judean as far as what link to use. So just look up the Judean, look for the movie club logo, and you'll be led to the Zoom link, or go to the Temple website calendar, and for Monday, you will be able to click on Movie Club and get the link there. Our very special event coming up a month from now is another speaker event. And Marge, would you like to tell us a little bit about that and why it's special?
I think everybody's been bombarded with this pretty well, but I'll bombard you again. That's Dr.
Please.
Dr. Dan Stone, the head of Cedar Sinai Valley Group, is returning by popular demand. Actually, he gave this presentation last year, and everybody was in awe of everything. The questions they submitted were answered, and they just wanted more of him. So he graciously agreed to come back again. And Rabbi Aronson has graciously offered to open it up to all Temple members and family members and friends of Temple members at no charge to any of them. So I hope you'll spread the word on that to everybody. And that's on the 17th of next month at 4 p.m., just like this one is at 4 p.m. And you should find it really worthwhile.
Terrific, thank you. And some of you will remember TJVillage Schmooses, which I think we last did in August. They were a way to get together on Zoom and just talk away. Well, we're reviving the Schmooses in the face of this newly intense version of COVID. Feel we need a chance to get together, but we've really been feeling the need of a chance to get to know all of you and all of our members. So the focus is going to be meet our members for our next schmooze. And that schmooze is Thursday, the 10th of February. And the member we are going to meet is on screen with us now, Jackie Wisson, who we're going to have a little chat about Jackie's life here in Los Angeles and elsewhere, and invite you all to compare notes and ask questions, see how your lives may have crossed or have similarities. So hope to see you then. I see Gloria's joined us. Hi, Gloria.
We've left the screen.
Yes, I see. So let me toss things back to you, Judy, to get our program started today.
Well, wait, let me just tell you, in March, we're going to have, the Temple has a green team. And of course, here's how you remember the date. It's St. Patrick's Day. So we will have one speaker who's related to Darlene.
Mhm.
And the
My
other
daughter-in-law,
speaker,
Kim.
that's your daughter-in-law. And the other speaker is Jane Nickel.
Yeah.
So anyway, without further ado,
Judy,
yes.
it's Bob. Can I put in another plug for something mildly related?
Anything, go
All right.
for it.
Because I'm co-chair of the Purim committee, the Purim Carnival, which I'm sure you're all aware of. We're doing our carnival on March 20th. And I told them at our meeting last night that I would just come to you guys and say, we are doing something called a tombola, which is a big board of numbers, and you pick a number and we see what's behind it. And if there's something behind it, you will win a prize. And we really need more prizes. So if anybody is connected in any way to help us find prizes for our tombola at the Purim Carnival, we would love your help. It could be a pair of tickets to a Dodger game or to the Hollywood Bowl or Disneyland, or an item, if you have a spare electronic item or anything else that we could give away to a winner of our tombola game. That would be great. So I just wanted to throw that out there. If anybody can help us, we would love to ask for that. Okay?
That's great. Thank you. Is it going to be in person?
Yes. Yes. That's what we're planning.
Okay. So
The door opens on the left side. You got it.
would somebody please mute who's ever,
Gloria,
okay. She. Oh, I can't do that. That's Ron's job. He has to mute her if it continues.
Beverly just came on. Hi, Beverly.
Okay. So, Ron,
I'm here.
it's your day. And we'll all think green too on this day.
Okay.
I'm looking forward to your expertise.
Well,
May I
our topic,
interrupt for just a moment? Ron is one of these people who needs no introduction, but as one of TJVillage members, I would like to say thank you to Ron for being on our steering committee and really being not only our special guest today, but one of our team.
thank you, Darlene. Our topic today was designed to discuss an alternative approach to both financial planning and retirement planning. Now, I'm not a rookie. I've been doing this for 46 years. And during this period of time, both the methods and the philosophies of retirement planning and investing have changed a great deal. Before the process known as financial planning or retirement planning can begin, other critical decisions must be made. Now, since investments vary in hundreds of ways, my goodness, college courses are dedicated to teaching the many methods involved in the process of investing, and they can barely cover the numerous approaches and methods in a 16-week semester. However, the basics, both age and risk tolerance, are the two of the many variables included in any fair analysis of this process. So let's briefly recognize some of the many choices commonly used for investments. Certainly the stock market is the most common approach. Stocks and mutual funds are as numerous as the stars in the sky. But how about Bitcoins? How about second mortgages? How about CDs? These are a number of the dozens and dozens and dozens of investments that are available to retirees and pre-retirees. As I look at the faces of everybody here, there's no 20 or 30-year-olds or even 40-year-olds amongst us. So we're talking about a much older age range for this purpose. Now, fortunately, today we'll talk about retirement planning with a focus on the people that I know are participating in this Zoom presentation by TJVillage. I doubt if there's any youngsters 20, 30, or 40 watching today, because their investment focus is and should be different than ours. Their advantage is a much longer lifeline. Rather, I believe the majority of our participants today are in their 60s or 70s or more. Time is not our friend. At our ages, it becomes critically important to define the types of investments which most planners feel are appropriate, considering both risk and time. As we just mentioned, there are as many types of investments as there are pebbles in a stream or grains of sand on the beach. Investments and rewards differ like night and day. They should be based on both the risk tolerance, remember that term, and the age of the investor, because that determines the lifeline. So let's talk about risk first. As risk increases, so does the potential for higher returns. But risk can be a very scary word. You know, we've worked a lifetime to accumulate the funds that we have? Is it time now to expose our hard-earned money to the risk of an investment that may fail or has no guarantees? The problem facing the senior population is that our age's risk must be very low or non-existent if possible. But the problem then becomes, if the risk is low or non-existent, then generally returns might be lower. The basic decision facing the senior population then becomes, do we risk our investments for a potential high return, or do we invest in lower risk products and investments that minimize risk and have solid guarantees, but then may result in slightly lower returns? This very basic decision needs to be made before investing can begin. How much return or growth of your funds is required? How much risk is then appropriate to reach those growth figures? How important is the safety of your funds? Every client I have, when asked why did they invest, if they don't answer because of the safety, then they never listen to me when they first talk to me. Safety is my byword. The majority of my clients have made this decision. Their primary concern is no longer what their return on their investments are, as long as there's a guaranteed return of their investments. And there must be complete safety of their principal. They've made the decision to invest in a product where the morning stock market report will no longer keep them awake that night. How many of you remember the complete collapse of the market in 2008? It wasn't that long ago. Have we forgotten the constant news, the gurus who talk incessantly about the next collapse of the current stock market due to either inflation or that overvaluation or a serious correction due to the pandemic? Do you have sleepless nights worrying whether your nest egg is safe? And has the recent correction, just in the past few weeks, cost you a great deal of money? What's more important, the potential for great returns with no guarantees, or perhaps a more moderate return with an ironclad guarantee? So how important to you is safety? Back to that sacred word. If you have your retirement funds in the bank growing at minimal rates, like CDs, with ironclad guarantees due to the federal limits, you may sleep peacefully at night, but your returns won't even keep up with inflation. Actually, the safest investment might be to keep your money snugly tucked under your mattress. But of course, your risk would then be theft or the terrible effect of inflation. If any of you are investing in the stock market, I think you can get your investment manager to guarantee your annual returns. You're mistaken and misinformed. Not only can they not guarantee their returns, but they also cannot guarantee you will suffer no losses in a falling market. Many years ago, as the age of my clientele increased, the types of investments that were appropriate also needed to change, with a focus again on safety, not only growth. So after analyzing the investment landscape, I discovered a type of investment that generally has moderated returns, but well above bank and CD rates, but still has no risk. It allows seniors to attain returns well above average with little or no risk, focused primarily on safety. Has anybody kept track of how many times I've said the word safety? No more heart attacks when the bottom falls out of the market, because there's no losses ever. Yes, there's guaranteed safety of both your principal and all accumulated gains. Investment funds are held in two different forms. The first is quite simply called savings. These are funds that are called non-qualified funds. They come from a variety of sources. It could be a spouse that died and left you money. It could be just a savings account that has grown over the years. Whatever it is, those are called non-qualified funds. These are monies that you've accumulated after the taxes on these funds have been paid. The second form, and by far the most prevalent source of investment funds held by retirees, are called qualified funds. The term qualified refers to the fact that these funds have been accumulated without ever being taxed. These are composed of IRAs, 401ks, 403bs, and some types of pension funds. And they're the most prevalent sources of investment dollars. They're very appropriate funds for investment purposes. Again, they are termed qualified because no taxes have ever been paid on these funds during their accumulation period. These funds then are finally distributed after age 70 and a half in the form of required minimum distributions called RMDs, and are finally taxable. Now, if you haven't guessed it already, the type of investment which I want to make you aware of and recommend that most retirees consider to have as a portion of their retirement planning portfolio are simply called fixed annuities. Those words generally strike terror in the minds of many retirees. They've heard all the bad stories. Never have I seen so much misinformation in the minds of so many on a given topic. All of the bad press about annuities is ancient history. They changed all the rules and all the laws after the 2008 failure in the market. After that time, annuities took a form that's completely different than what they used to be. I can tell you that a discussion about annuity investments for those whose risk tolerance is not what it was 10 or 15 years ago would serve you well. So let's look at some of the features of modern annuities, the ones that were formed after they were completely redesigned. The costs are zero. You pay nothing to acquire an annuity. You pay nothing ever. Returns may be moderated, but losses are guaranteed to be non-existent. Guarantees and safety are the primary features included in these products. If there are any drawbacks or negatives to the ownership of an annuity, liquidity of principal is limited at no cost to 10% annually. The old adage that was used in the past was that if your money was in an annuity, your funds were locked up. This obviously is no longer the case. Funds are readily available at no cost. They are taxable in qualified accounts. Limited liquidity is your trade-off for the safety and peace of mind that an annuity provides. Now, moderated returns are chosen to provide for the same safety and peace of mind. If your primary goal in retirement planning and investing is purely growth, well, then an annuity is not for you. However, if your goal is both great growth and safety, you may want to consider an investment that could fit into your plans called a fixed annuity. Now, obviously, one size shoe doesn't fit everyone, and annuities are not for everyone. However, if there's any message I can get across to you today, is do yourself a favor, and at the very least, ask your investment professional to show you how this type of an investment may or may not fit into your retirement planning portfolio. In conclusion, I want to thank you for the opportunity to speak to you today. TJVillage is to be commended for providing various fields of interest to Temple Judea members. Now, there's obviously going to be many questions on today's topic that may arise. So I want you to feel free to email me or call me. My information is in the Temple directory. And thanks for the opportunity to talk. Judy?
Will you answer questions now?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, so you talked about limited liquidity. I don't know how many people know what that is, or,
Well, an annuity at our age, the term, when it used to be the term, and one of the very negative terms attached to annuities, once the money was in there, it was locked up. Well, it's not true. Limited liquidity means that you have access to only 10% of the balance. Let's say you put $100,000 into an annuity. Forget about the fact that there's bonuses that they give you for opening annuities and all of that sort of thing. But if you needed funds or wanted to withdraw funds from an annuity after you've opened it up, at the end of the first year on each anniversary, you can take out 10% of that amount. So you can take out $10,000. Now, of course, if it was a qualified annuity, you'd have to pay taxes on it. But that's what limited liquidity is. It's not a checking account. You can't take out an unlimited amount without penalties. But you can take out more than that 10%. There's simply small penalties attached to everything over that 10%.
Murray has a question.
Yeah.
Ron,
Sure.
what costs are involved in setting up an annuity?
None, absolutely none. Actually, it can be the most profitable thing you can do. There are several companies in the marketplace right now that are so hungry for investment funds because they use your funds to then invest in other things where they make money. Insurance companies never lose money on an investment. So they want to attract your funds. So if you've got $100,000 sitting in a CD or something, or in an account where it's not doing what it should, you can deposit that money with an insurance company that will then take those funds and literally bonus you at least 20%. So your account would open up with $120,000. So it hasn't cost you anything. You've actually made $20,000 just by changing to that fixed annuity. There's actually one company that pays 25% bonus just for putting the money into their hands. So there's no costs ever.
And you're just locking it up for the first year.
You're locking it up for the first year, correct. And after that period of time, you have two options, both the 10% option or less. And if you need more than that 10%, then there's penalties attached to the amount over the 10%. They're not that big. They're not that big. And I could give examples, but we'd be spending our time talking numbers. You know, it's kind of like giving a haircut over the phone. You just can't do it. The numbers speak for themselves. And in a normal presentation or in a normal conversation that I have with people, it's all on paper. So they can see the numbers.
I have two questions, Ron.
Go ahead, Jim.
One is, if Murray decides to put 100,000 and it makes 125, don't, as most of us are over the age of 71 and a half?
Yeah, 70 and a half.
70 and a half? Okay. Don't we have to start taking our money out?
Yeah.
So let's look at that, you know.
Well, the RMD amount is never 10%. So they allow the RMD to come out. It's taxable, of course, because you're receiving the money, and it satisfies the federal requirement for the RMD. RMD only starts at 4.85% at age 70 and a half. So that's far from 10%. You could actually take out the 10%, and that satisfies the 4.85 on the RMD. I have a lot of clients that take out 10% automatically every year, use it for vacations, use it for gifts to their kids, whatever, or reinvest it. You have so many options. You receive the check, you get it whenever you ask for it. Most people ask for it either at the beginning of the year or at the end of the year. About half of my clients have their RMDs paid out in January, and the other half have them paid out in November and December. So doesn't seem to be any in the middle.
So then my next question is, since we don't know the length of our future, tell us about when our children get to roll around in this money?
Well, they don't get to roll around in the money, but they do go to the beneficiary. And then the kids have many options available to them. They can replace you on the annuity and leave the money to grow and have the exposure to the safety that it has, which is probably the primary result of some, when somebody passes. But they also can take the money, pay the taxes on it, and do whatever they want, buy a new car, buy a house, whatever. Certainly depends on how much money's in there.
So do all annuities allow you to allow your children to take over?
Yes, they can step in and replace you on the document as the owner, or they can just be the beneficiary. It's like a life insurance policy. They simply get the money, and it doesn't matter how long it's been enforced. The 100% of the value is paid to the beneficiary.
Thank you, Ron.
Darlene?
Darlene has her.
He knows what's in.
All right, all right.
Okay.
Darlene has to unmute.
Yeah. First, let me ask Bonnie if she can to mute herself so we don't get the ambient noise from you.
I'm so sorry. I thought it was. I'm sorry.
That's okay. If you could just put mute on, that would help. Ron, I was kind of hoping you'd give us a little self-introduction. I know that you're a financial planner, but I'd love to know more about what your category of financial planner is. For example, are you a fee-for-service planner, or do you derive your income from what you recommend to your clients? And that would help me, I think, to know, if you elaborated on that, how you came to this perspective.
Okay. As a background, I spent 25 years as a manager with the New York Life Insurance Company. I retired 22 years ago in 2000. And so at that time, I had so many people asking me to handle their retirement funds that I started my own company called Senior Advisors. And I've been doing this ever since. So in total, I have 46 years worth of experience in this. Now, I also decided at that time that fees for service, costs to the client, are not something that people want. They don't want to pay me. So with the companies that I work with and have worked with for so many years, there's no fees involved. I go and I see people for nothing. There's no compensation involved. The companies that I work with basically pay me what would be called a finder's fee, but it doesn't come out of your money. So it's not like a commission. It's certainly not a commission where you've paid anything for it. So if somebody gives me $100,000 and it goes into the account and it becomes $125,000, and I get paid a commission, what you would call a commission, it's a finder's fee from the company for bringing your $100,000 to them. So nothing comes out of your pocket. The insurance companies, it's interesting. 46 years ago, 1976, when I started with New York Life. Now we're talking about the largest life insurance company in the United States. They've been in business since 1845. And after my first year, I went through a first year of training, and they came out with their annual report. And I saw that they had grown. Now in those days, I think they had at that time like $13 billion under management. And I looked at the numbers, and they had grown up to $17 billion. And each year I kept looking at the annual report, and it just kept growing. And at one point I asked the man who was, may he rest in peace, he was my trainer, the one who taught me the ropes 46 years ago. And he said, don't ever worry about an insurance company making money. They always make money because they have a constant flow of new funds coming in that they can invest at returns that we can't do ourselves. We can't bundle 40 or $50 million at a time and invest in different products. Well, maybe there are some people that can do that. I certainly can't. I don't know anybody here that could. If they could, I would refer them to Rabbi Aronson, because he's going to put the touch on you. I'll tell you that. But so I never worried about it anymore. The insurance company, when you're with big companies, and the only companies that I go with are AAA companies, because of the safety. I mean, they've got more money than God. They literally do. New York Life, I mean, I retired in 2000, but of course, because I'm a retired manager, I still get all the data from them. And what started out as a $13 billion company and then went to 17 billion in the second year is now up to almost $1 trillion. And believe me, I have no worries that they're going to be around long before I'm gone. That's the safety attached. Insurance companies will survive. They're like cockroaches. They'll survive after the atom bomb. Honest to God, people look at insurance companies, and none of us are old enough to remember during the Depression, banks failed. Every form of investment failed, and life insurance companies continued to pay dividends and continued to pay out funds to people who needed money. My parents had life insurance policies that they borrowed on during the Depression.
I'm muted.
Nobody here is old enough to have gone through that. The only person, I don't know, Hilda Fogelson's not on. She's the oldest person that I know. Hilda's now going to be, I think, 97 on her next birthday. Even she's not old enough to remember that kind of stuff. So concern over safety is not something that you need to do. Are there any other questions? Believe me, if you have a Temple directory, by the way, the new directory will be out, I'm going to guess, in about 3 weeks. So you want to, yeah, we have one ad left that we need copy on. The book is laid out. Unfortunately, it's a covered. It's the front and back, not the front and back. It's the back cover and the inside back cover. So we can't go to print without that copy. And it's a automobile company, so we're just waiting for the copy. Once we get that, we go to press.
Hey, Ron, why don't you put your email in the chat as well, in case somebody wants to reach you without having to find the directory?
I can do that, yeah. It's Spiegel RSS. Those are my initials, RSS. Spiegel RSS at either AOL.com or gmail.com, either one. I get both. And if anybody wants to go into any further depth about anything else, I'm open to talk. Are there any other questions?
So you're saying we could contact you, even if we have annuities, for you to look at whether they're the right annuities?
Sure. I do a lot of financial advising. I've got a lot of clients who, they're all retired and been clients of mine for years, and their biggest concern is their children. And that's the single biggest concern that I see, biggest problem that I see for in the future. Our population, people on the screen right now, most of them know the value of $1 and have invested and have retirement funds. But think about your kids. A, do they have any insurance? And B, have they saved any money? And I find that that's the next impending disaster coming down the road. Most of my children's age, most of the kids my children's age are just not prepared for the future. They just aren't. They've not done what we've done and what our spouses have done, which is they've either insured themselves or have saved money. Our kids haven't. Most of them have not. And if you wonder whether they have or not, ask. It's a dangerous road they follow. I think maybe Bob is probably the youngest one on the screen. And it's his age group. It's his age group that, for the most part, are unprepared for retirement. Some of them don't even believe that Social Security will be there by the time they get to 65, 67. It's amazing to me how many kids I talk to who are the children of my clients, who, when asked about their retirement planning, they're not confident that they'll have Social Security. And I can tell you, they're going to have Social Security. It's the third rail in politics. Whatever needs to be done to provide protection for Social Security, it will be done. Darlene?
I have a question and also some information to share. The question first. Is there a difference in annuities in terms of one being more better than the other?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Let me say that there's one type of annuity that A, if you have it, you have my condolences. And B, if it comes along, close your eyes and run. It's called a variable annuity. It used to be very popular. Very popular. Problem is, it had no guarantees. It was tied completely to the stock market. So you gave the company $100,000. They invested it in a variable annuity. They invested it in the stock market. And if 2008 came along, your money was just lost. It took 5 years to recoup it. So a variable annuity is the worst kind. There's not many people selling them anymore. There are other types of annuities, but for retirement purposes, the fixed annuity is the best one. It's the one where they pay you an amount that's based on stock market returns. May not be the complete amount. I can give you an example. The last year, 2001, people are just getting their renewals, and the return on the stock market last year was something approaching 16 or 17%, which was a pretty good return last year. Under Biden's investment, call it compass, the market was pretty solid last year. Under Trump, the market was so volatile that it was no place for anybody. I mean, it was so volatile. He'd make a statement on Monday and the market would fly up on Tuesday, and then he'd reverse it on Wednesday, and on Friday it went down again. There's actually an SEC investigation into whether or not he manipulated the market for the benefit of his friends, his rich friends. But that's another issue entirely. So I would say that if you're looking at annuities, it's what they call a fixed annuity.
Darlene, you had something else you wanted to add?
Well, just today, I read an article that really related to our session today. It was in the online publication Next Avenue. Anyone else on screen read Next Avenue besides me?
Read it.
I'm not seeing any reactions. It's really a wonderful newsletter that is put out by an organization that is connected to public television. I think to sign up for it or to find out more about it, you can just type in nextavenue.com and you'll find it. Lots of interesting articles. The one today talked about the amount of time that seniors spend kind of getting off track, finding their concentration is easily interrupted, not staying with one line of thought. And that's related to anxiety level, which certainly with COVID has been on the increase, I would say pretty generally these days. And the point of the article was that the article was pointed at people who live alone and feel insecurities because of that. And the point being made is true in your field, Ron, and on many topics, which is if you can do some planning ahead, that would be the way to avoid those anxieties. Because when you look at what are the issues that you might want to be dealing with, the author of the article really was drawing on helping the author's parents. So the author's experience was to sit down and make a list of what kind of issues the parents struggled with, and then do some serious planning for how to deal with those if when they might appear. And I thought this was such an apt article for today because of our topic with you, Ron, but also because of the purpose of TJVillage. I mean, we're involved in looking at what some people call the third chapter or next chapter, the third stage of life after youth and the period of family making and child rearing, and perhaps when one's winding down a career. And one of the points that I've seen in so many other articles is that our demographic, including you, Bob, is one in which we can anticipate new careers. And you're an example of that, Ron. And we really are here to focus on all the opportunities to make this third chapter rich. So it all kind of came together for me. And I do highly recommend Next Avenue as a source for information.
Well, you bring up 2 points, Darlene, that that I really should stress. One, if there's anybody here that does not have a financial planner, get one. I don't believe anybody should face retirement without having somebody professional to work with them. You know, my wife, if we're going to take a trip, let's say we're going to plan a trip to Europe, she will spend literally weeks researching, planning every step of the trip, and spend hours and hours and hours planning that vacation. When it comes to financial planning, people don't want to spend 5 minutes, let alone hours. So if you don't have a financial planner, find one. If you have one, use him or her. And don't do this on your own. Financial planners, by design, are fiduciaries. Now that means that they have to make decisions in your best interest, not in theirs. I've been a fiduciary for over 40 years, and it's probably the byline that has to be the course that we take for every senior.
Hi, I'm watching this Zoom on financial planning.
We have any other questions? Gloria's got all, I guess. Huh? I think that.
Ron,
yeah.
My father used to love to tease about the word fiduciary. So every time I hear it, I go, oh. So
Yeah, it's an interesting word.
But he loved to say it.
You could look it up in the dictionary, and it's if your financial advisor is not a fiduciary,
I don't need to.
doesn't at least call himself a fiduciary, he's making decisions that may or may not be in your favor.
Yeah.
And the number of years I run into young people come into this business. I mean, I was, as I said, a manager with a major company, 25 years with New York Life. There's lots of people.
And
Ron, you can mute Gloria.
Have no knowledge, no sechel. And that's something you want to look for. Somebody with some experience.
Ron, why don't you mute Gloria?
That's so cool.
I'm cleaning my house and it feels so good because it's just been.
There.
Thank you. Ron, I listening to you has been an asset for me. Thank you.
Are there any other
and-
questions? Thank you for the opportunity to talk to everybody.
Thank you.
Thanks, Ron.
Take care, everybody. Bob, I'll think about Purim, but I don't know what I have.
Thank you,
Thanks,
Ron.
Ron.
Temple Brotherhood's a sponsor.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm gonna
Thanks, Ron,
mention the
interesting.
Brotherhood meeting too, but I wanted to hit this group.
Well, the Brotherhood always works at the carnival. We'll probably be there cooking hamburgers and dogs.
We need
And,
stuff too.
And we paid a good deal of money to be a sponsor.
Right.
Yeah, Ron, do you want to stop the recording?
Yeah, I'll do that right now.
Thank you.
Let's see.